All right, hello, welcome again to the very first Cadence session where I have Magnus with me, aka Souleye.
Ta-da!
And it's very exciting. Magnus has stopped by for a visit here at Hexagon. It's the last week of Hexagon, which I'm very sad about. Hexagon's been an amazing experience. But I've been here for 2 months. You've only been here for a day. What's your impression so far of Hexagon?
Well, the environment is idyllic. It's, we're lucky with the weather.
Yeah.
Fairly warm and sunny.
So this is the thing in Sweden, which I didn't appreciate because I'm from South Africa, is that Swedish summer is a very fickle creature. It likes to tease you by being sunny one day and then disappearing behind rain clouds. But this week's been good. We've had sunshine and it's been pretty glorious.
Yeah, and the Stugan is just not one Stuga, but there's plenty of them, and we're now in a one room where most people gather to code their stuff and do their thing, and it's really cozy. We got all kinds of food in the for breakfast, dinner, and lunch, and everything's taken care of. It's idyllic, takes all the pressure off you guys, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, as a developer for Cadence, if you've been watching these, it's been absolutely great. I've made so much progress that really wouldn't have been possible at all if I wasn't here. Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, so you are a music composer.
I am.
And I would say you're most well known, or definitely the way that I know you, is that you did the soundtrack for V.
Yeah.
Which is Terry Kavanagh's sort of one of his most popular games. He made it before he made Super Hexagon, and that's how I really got into it. I absolutely love Super Hexagon, and then I went back and I played V, and I really love that as well. And the music is a key component in that game. So I think, seeing as this is, for those who might not be familiar with V, is we should actually play some of it so people can hear for themselves.
Sure.
So what I've done is I found this clip from V, which is kind of one of my favorite moments. Now, before I play it, we have to take a second here, because the name is actually 6 V's put together. So, we've been saying V, but the first time I saw this, I took a very long while to kind of think to myself, how do you pronounce this? And it's like, is it, is that what 6 V's sounds like? And
well, of course, many people have been wondering this stupefying questions for 5 years now.
Yeah.
V is 5 in Roman. So now it's time to reveal exclusively a Stugan exclusive. No, actually, it's been known for a while. The simple solution is that the first 2 and the last 3 V's are silent V's, so you don't pronounce them.
Okay.
So you just say V, and then you've actually said the whole word.
Interesting. So your album soundtrack is actually titled P, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that's maybe the first 3 letters are silent, and then the last 2 letters are silent as well.
Yes, that's exactly that.
They're different silent letters, but
yeah, it's like
the same,
a little switcheroo there.
Same principle. Okay, well, let's play this clip. So V is a game where you switch gravity. That's the only thing you can do. And it's got these kind of very old school minimalist graphics, and it's tough as nails. And this in particular is by far and away one of the toughest segments in the game. So what you're doing is you're trying to get the secret orb that you can see right next to you. But because you can't jump, you can only flip gravity, you have to go through this crazy challenge of doom that's just filled with spikes. And the worst part is when you make it all the way through, the platform that you land on at the bottom is disintegrating, so you have to jump back straight away. And kind of when I first saw this in the game, it was so evil, and I was like, how could any game designer in good conscience ever do that? But surprisingly, I found myself compelled to conquer this. I don't. You obviously played the game a bit while you were doing the music. Did you ever attempt
Oh yeah,
this ridiculous challenge?
I have completed each and every challenge in V, except all the user levels. Some of them are just like trying to be hard for hard's sake. But the Venovici, I don't think is the hardest. There was a couple of other places I thought was even harder. Like Edge Games was pretty tricky. But that, doing things the hard way, I actually got into the groove after a while. And then I could I'd go through the maze and back and land on the little block there. And then I'll jump off of that and land on it again.
Wow.
And my record for doing that was 8 times.
Wow.
Just like up, down, up, down.
Okay.
It became like a Zen thing where you kind of get into the groove and like...
So you are meticulous.
Well, I was then. I probably couldn't do it for half an hour now if I just jumped into it.
Yeah. But it's something I find interesting about, that kind of challenge and like, Super Hexagon as well, is that in many ways, it's like playing a musical instrument. I find if I'm playing guitar, I kind of have to think a step ahead, and I have to play the music in my head before my fingers actually do. And with this, it's kind of the same thing. You have to think about where you're falling before you actually get there.
Yeah. Totally. It's like getting into a certain rhythm where your body needs to like press the certain keys at certain intervals. So it's a lot of muscle memory and repetition that kind of gets you there, which is the same with playing some instrument, like you say. Yeah.
So we're here to talk about the fact that you're a game audio musician. So tell me a bit about that. So if you want to find out more or get your music, you can go to souleye.se. We'll definitely post that in the comment stream. But, maybe tell me about how you started with music. What was the thing that got you hooked on music?
Well, hooked, it's a funny story to begin with.
Yeah.
I started a little bit before getting hooked. My dad had one of those first portable PCs, which was an Epson HX20. Which is an old school thing.
Wow. I've never even heard of that.
It's like got this little LCD screen and it's just black and white, and it's got a built-in printer it's just a work computer, and it's nothing fun at all. It's made it's older than me probably, or some 20, 30 years ago. And that thing, I could code that to produce sounds via the beeper. You write the code like sound 1.1, and that would generate a sound at the note, I don't know what the 1 is, maybe a low C, and then the next digit would be how long you could play it.
Right.
And if it was a 0, that was silence. So with those two, you could write long code strings of 1.1, comma 1,2. 1,3. It's all just you like number, comma, line after line after line, and then that would be like a song.
Which that is pretty much how chiptune music was created. There weren't computers
in the beginning
to program these things for us, so you had to put in your strings and you had to sort of say numbers basically.
So that's where I first came in contact with doing this kind of stuff at all. And then later on, my parents had a piano at home. I played a little of that. That was so. I'm not a great piano player or anything, but it got me a little bit of understanding where the keys were and stuff.
Right.
And then friend of mine got an Amiga computer, and I got an Amiga, and found the tracking software there. Would be Sound Tracker, Noise Tracker, Pro Tracker. Especially Pro Tracker was the thing that got me hooked. I'd heard all these great music in other Commodore 64 games. I think one of the first games that got me inspired was Whizball. The soundtrack, the title track there by Martin Galway is really cool. So I love that. Funny thing, now we're friends on Facebook, and it's like I've visited, stayed with him a couple of days in Austin. It's just great,
Oh, it's crazy how that happens in the modern era, where the games industry, you get to meet these people. And so often, they're just completely normal dudes, and it's just great to hang out. Yeah.
I don't think anybody is like not normal or anything.
Exactly.
I think that's just an illusion people have about people until they get to know them.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh my God, I thought so much of this big shot guy, and wait, but he's just a normal person.
Yeah.
Wait, my reality is crumbling. I don't know who I am anymore. Like that thing.
So you mentioned like playing piano, and early on. But something you said that was interesting, which I think is a case with many musicians, is that you're not really that much into music theory. For you, it's more about hearing the sounds and kind of adjusting things until you're getting what you want.
Yeah. It'll typically start with me. Either a song just comes to me like a little notes and melody and chords how I want it, or I'll sit and play with a sound until, oh, that progression sounded fun, and then I'll just explore the scales and see what sounds good and sounds nice. So I'm totally self-schooled, self-taught. I don't even know notation, which is not necessarily with today's tools. You can just point and click and whatnot with all the piano rolls and whatnot. But I still use a tracker, which has these like matrix-like scrolling windows of numbers and zeros, and people who look at it be like, this looks more like the inside of a cockpit for a Boeing than anything else. Like what is this? It looks really foreign and weird. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then for those people who are sort of up and coming game musicians trying to get into, making music for games full time, how do you generally end up working on projects?
Usually people just email me.
Right.
And if they tell me, they have to seem kind of credible at first. There's a couple of people who don't seem so credible. They just like, they email me, but they don't really have a project, or they don't ever make a project. So it's good that if people already have something that they can show that tells me like, oh well, actually I'm actually doing something. I'm not just like talking about how I will make a game and I want to hear some music for it.
And I can imagine that having a very successful soundtrack project like the under your belt helps with that, where people kind of come to you. Yes,
totally. It happens that I go out of my way, but like, oh, there's this song, this game that's being developed, and I want to do music for that. That'd be really nice. And then I do send an email, and sometimes they email back, well, thank you, but I already have a musician, and I had like 150 people apply already, and I'm kind of like done with the music part right now. Thank you very much. So there's this like very fierce competition there.
I mean, that is definitely something that I found as well, is that we've gotten a lot of requests to do music on Cadence. Mm-hmm. But, Cadence very specifically is a game where the game is making the music. So, it's, again, I always have to politely say, well, thank you very much. But,
well, you could have somebody to program a couple of pre-songs for the game in your editor.
Which, speaking of which, it's one of the reasons that we're here. I see how very seasoned professional leading into it. All right, so what I've been doing is Loop a Day, where I've been trying to make something in Cadence every single day. And yesterday had Magnus here playing the game, and that was a really good experience because you just broke it completely. And that's one of those things that happens in game dev. Someone plays a game and then they do things that you're not quite expecting, or they do things just a little bit differently from how you've been doing it. And, if no one's ever done that before, usually the game just breaks and falls over. And, so while you were doing this yesterday, I mean, there were some crazy things like where you just ended up somehow creating nodes that were really far away, and then you couldn't select them anymore. And then that was completely game-breaking bug, and that was like, okay, right, we totally got to fix that, and we fixed that now, so I can reach this one here in the distance. But anyway, it's I've definitely played enough of this game. I'm gonna hand it over to you to make a very quick, simple loop. The editor, as we saw yesterday, still has a long way to go, but I think you can definitely make something very short and sweet for us.
I will try.
Excellent.
I will try. Get something in there. So I'm gonna do something that I tried to do yesterday, but I wasn't really able to then, and hope that it works better this time. Something like that, or should I?
Yeah, that's good. That'll give you a loop.
Yeah. And then I want to have another track. Yeah.
All right, we try. Let's see what happens. If it falls over, we can always start again. Now I'm gonna have to create a node for you, which obviously will be fixed by the time the game's released. Okay.
Excellent. Oh, that's funny.
Oh.
Never seen that before. Oh, that interesting. I'm learning new stuff here. Let's remove those.
So this is a perfect example of what I was talking about, where I fixed it on the first track, but then because I didn't test it on the second track, it's not working on the second track. So I think that that's a lesson that we're just going to do a single track today.
Yeah, all right. Well, so do I delete this one?
Actually, just delete the whole track.
Okay.
That will do it. All right, there we go.
All right. So now that I have a little loop thing here, I need to play it once.
Drag those down as well. That's just your range setting.
Okay. So let's see what it sounds like when I haven't done anything.
Cool. Let's give you a little bit more volume.
So that's where it looped, and obviously it's all in C major, so the notes kind of all fit together in some ways. Yeah. But I still want to change things. Let's see what we got so far. It's not complete yet. Well, it's getting there. Now, when I look at these things here, I can kind of go do 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 do. Dun, 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 dun. And then I want to scroll this away a little bit and continue here.
Right, now that's the end of your loop if I'm not mistaken, so there it's actually turning around.
Right. So this should be the finished thing then.
Excellent.
Very beautiful song here. I think
I think this is your next hit.
My next hit, indeed.
Definitely. All right. Thank you very much, Magnus.
Yeah.
Very quickly, can you tell us a bit about what's next for you? What are you working on?
I am working on the soundtrack for a game called Tactile.
Tactile? Excellent.
It is a hacking game.
All right.
It's being greenlit on Steam, and if you look up Tactile there, you can keep yourself informed. I don't have too much to say about the game right now because it's still under development and hard secrecy with NDA and stuff.
Right.
Or maybe there's not so much to show you. But at least I've got some music done, and but that I don't show that stuff until it's done, and I've shown you something, I think, but I can't publicly post that stuff up until we're done.
Well, I mean, the very little that I heard sounds very cool. You had some cool guitars in there mixed with the electronics, rocking out.
Oh yeah.
And thank you very much for hope to hear more from you soon.
Yep.
See Tactile app. Definitely play it when it comes out.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to